Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year tag where I'm going to talk about all the books I've read so far in 2026. Let's jump straight into it with best book you've read so far. And I don't know if this is recency bias because I'm currently reading this book. I'm not even done. I think I'm 40% in, but I'm reading Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, and I really love Divine Rivals. I love that duology. She has such vivid, strong imagery, and I love the way she creates the worlds of the gods, the skywards, and the underlings. You don't get bogged down in the world building. It's somehow so rich and filling, but it's not a slog to get through. Like certain fantasy books, I find like the world building can get quite dense and maybe you lose interest. It takes you out of it a little bit, but not in Wild Reverence. Like almost immediately I was drawn into the world. The opening chapter alone had me hooked. So I love the characters. Matilda and what's your boy's name? I don't want to say Finnick, like this is the Hunger Games. Anyway, Matilda. We're just growing with her. We're figuring out the worlds with her. I gotta say, best book I've read so far. And then, cop out, but everything by Ali Hazelwood. I don't know what Ali Hazelwood's writing does to me. It's immediately, I'm drawn in. Her characters are so funny. Oh no. Now we're gonna be talking about the biggest disappointment of this year. My biggest disappointment was When the Moon Hatched. There was so much hype around this book with the dragons and the lore and the world building and the magic system that I read this book with the expectation that I was going to love it. It was going to be a 5-star read and I was going to think of nothing else. There was something about the world building that just irritated me. Like I was annoyed because everything was renamed to a point of like words have no meaning now. And maybe that's just me being a dumb bitch, but words used to mean things, okay? And I understand it's fantasy, but that just took me out of it. And now I'm sounding a little bit harsh because it wasn't the worst thing I ever read. I think it was just the hype and my expectations were so high that when I went into it, I had built it up too much that I had no choice but to fall. Anyway, besides the world building being a little overly dense for no reason in my opinion, everything just felt a little stale, even though so much had been done to create this new world, these systems. It somehow still felt a little bit done. And then again, I don't know if this is on me because maybe I had just hit my romantasy limit. Let me say what I did like about it, even though this is biggest disappointment. I like the dragons. I like the dragons. There was also a plot twist or two that got me and I said, I'm intrigued. You have me there. So there's that. Okay, another disappointment was Wild Love by Elsie Silver. The cover of that book, gorgeous. I was really hoping I was gonna love it so I could get into the whole interconnected standalone series because I love a series. I love the interconnected standalone. My main issue with Wild Love and why it was disappointment is that I knew what I was supposed to be feeling. It was told to me how the characters were feeling, what was going on, and I think this was my issue with the dual POV. I knew what was going to happen. Nothing was a surprise, not in the sense that it was overly predictable. I felt like I just knew exactly where these characters were going. I didn't have any doubt that things were going to go wrong. I wasn't worried. It was just like, yeah, okay, this is inevitable. I do want to have a little reason to doubt that, you know? I want to be a little stressed out, and I wasn't. They didn't stress me out. I was just like,
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
I wasn't fully invested in the characters, and I don't know if it was just a little too much haha kiki witty banter for me that just fell a little flat in what I like when it comes to banter or chemistry between our two main characters in a romance. Anyway, it just felt a little flat for me. Again, it was another book that I had built up to a certain level because there's a lot of creators I follow that I like and they love the book and everyone feels so passionate about these books, and I assumed I was going to feel just as passionate about it, but I didn't, and that irritated me. So again, it could have been my own brain that ruined these books for me. So will I be reading the next one? Oh no, I won't. I read the little snippet. That takes me to my next question: is favorite new author, debut, or new to you? This is going to be new to me. I love an Abby Jimenez book. I read 2 this year, both of them amazing. I think first I read Say You'll Remember Me. Gut punch with the animals, with the yes, okay. Say You'll Remember Me was great. I loved both our main characters. I really enjoyed how well fleshed out the side characters were, how rich the main characters' lives were outside of each other, and how much we delved into their individual lives. It just had that sauce. I love Say You'll Remember Me. A great, great emotional romance. So good. And then I read The Night We Met. Okay, best friend's girlfriend's story. It was done really well in my opinion. I think it was heartbreaking to see these characters go through this and the trial set in the way, but again, that's what I loved about it, is there was doubt that maybe they won't end up together, maybe maybe things aren't going to be all honey and roses. It was a book I didn't expect to like, but was first few chapters I was in it to win it, and I didn't put it down. I will say, like, I have heard some people talk about how they didn't how they didn't like the representation of depression and addiction, and how maybe there wasn't enough sympathy for certain characters going through hardships, but we had an abundance of sympathy for other characters going through hardships. So that left a bad taste, and that's 2 for Abby Jimenez. And I do think going forward I'm gonna be picking up anything she puts down. Abby. I think my biggest surprise this year was that I really enjoy reading romance novels. Some honorable mentions, not my favorites, but books I had a really good time reading was Forget Me Not by Julie Soto, The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. The characters were fun and fresh, and I really enjoyed the setting of 2 writers sitting together discussing like the importance of rom-coms and how it's more than just some light, frivolous storytelling. And again, it always comes back to Ellie Hazelwood, because that's how I started my year. I started my year and I was reading Love Theoretically, Love on the Brain. What are those 3 little novellas? Also the STEMinist novels, the 3 little ones. Oh, Loathe to Love You. Yeah, and then I also read Get a Life, Chloe Brown, which was fun. That was a cute one. I really enjoyed it. So I've read some really fun books this year, even though I was complaining a little bit, saying reading just didn't hit this year that it did the previous years, but I had a really good time. So my biggest surprise is that I really love romance. A book that made you cry. Now, I'm gonna be honest here, because why lie? But I'm not much of a crier. I don't really cry when I watch TV. I don't really cry when I read books. There's been like a total of 2-3 books that I've cried when I read. One of them's got to be Tomorrow, but that wasn't this year. I cried a little when I read The Happy Place, but this year, no. This year, honestly, book-wise, has not been great for me. That's why I'm doing the mid-year tag. I'm hoping to spice things up. I'm going to bring good reading energy to me. So, I mean, why did I even answer this question? Your girl's not crying. Dang, at this point, I just got to open an Ellie Hazelwood fan account, because a book that made me happy was Love on the Brain. I don't know what it was about that book. The main character, how she loved to dopamine dress, and we were at NASA, and there was just this big grumpy man, and she was out there in a little galaxy dresses, and there were mystery cats at NASA. I just had so much fun reading it. It was such a happy book. It was so well paced. The characters are, in my opinion, always so genuinely funny, and not in a cringe way. Sometimes I find banter can be really cringy, and the witty comments aren't all that witty, but I don't know. The dialogue, the characters, I think it was such a good job, and it just made me so happy. Like, while I was reading it, I was just in a good mood. I was just having a silly goofy time. Okay, what books do I want to read by the end of the year? I want to read Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I read Yellowface, and I really enjoyed that last year. So I actually have a physical copy around somewhere. So it's there. It's taunting me. I really do want to read it. I think I'm a little intimidated, and that's why I've put it off for so long. But I gotta stop being a little bitch about it. I gotta do my reading stretches before I get into that one. So I think I've kind of intimidated myself, and I've put it off. I would really also love to read The Poppy War. Again, R.F. Kuang. I loved her writing Yellowface, so I do want to read one of her fantasy books. I'm definitely going to do that. Let me not say definitely. Let me not lie to you good people. But I really want to read it. I've heard everybody say that they read it, they love it, and they get their hearts ripped out through their throats. And that just seems like a good time to me. A fantasy, heart-ripping. So I also would like to read Feybound. I don't know anything about it. The cover's black and red. It looks good. Everybody's like, oh, you like dragons? You like fantasy? Then you got to read Feybound. And who am I to not listen to those good people? Now, diverting a little from the fantasy route, I also want to give normal people another try. Actually, I would like to give Sally Rooney another try. And I don't know what it was, if it was the time that I tried to read normal people, or if it was the writing. Maybe it was the quotation marks that got me. I don't remember what it was, but there was something about every time I would try to read that book, there was just always this block. And I didn't investigate it far enough to tell you what it was. And I do want to give it another good try. Like, I mean, get 50% in before I can say, okay, normal people's not for me. We're back on the fantasy train. I really want to read The Night and the Moth. I loved, what did I love? One Dark Window and the one that came after that. I really enjoy the world. I love the card magic system, the romance elements to it. Oh, the mind, okay. Oh, this year I read Ninth House, which I have mixed feelings about, but I think overall we're leaning to the good feelings. An academic fantasy, which I really like. It was such a nice world, a nice change of pace. Also was a little scary for my 1PS, but I like that, put me on the edge a little. I enjoyed that. So I do want to read the sequel, Hellbent, and I do think the third one is out, or it's coming out. So I do hope I can read that by the end of the year. Now it's time to give a shout out to some of my favorite bookish creators on YouTube and Instagram. And I think first and foremost, it's always got to be Carrie Can Read, because when I got back into reading, I found her videos, and I think she was the only bookish creator I followed for a while. And I love her takes on the books. I love her variety of recommendations. Also, I just love her videos. They have just such this calming, beautiful essence about them. She has great opinions. She has great taste in books. Just all-round great creator. Recently, I've started watching some of the Book Leo's videos, and I just love the topics that she goes on. How to add more whimsy into your life, or here's your weird girl summer recommendations. She has a great cozy energy, and she also always has great conversations around current topics, and I love her videos. They're done so well, and she always has great, interesting things to talk about. Then we got to talk about Larry. Larry makes such fun content. To me, when I watch a Larry video, I'm ready to get settled, have a beverage, and just know I'm going to have a good time. So those are some of my favorite creators. I know I'm forgetting a bunch of people, but thank you so much for going on this tag with me. Hopefully I read more than 15 books by the end of the year, but if not, so what? It doesn't really matter. I just hope that for the second half of the year, I get a little more passionate about my reading than I have been. I mean, this year's been a little stale when it comes to reading. I don't know if it's the book choices, or maybe not trusting myself with my book decisions, knowing what my tastes are, trying to read too much of what I should read or what everybody else is reading, and not enough of what I want to read. But that's something I hope I change. Yeah, let me know what you're currently reading, because after Wild Reverence, I don't know what's next. So if you have any recommendations based off of what I've said or just what you're enjoying, let me know. And thank you for being here. Okay, bye.